Hey folks, Bill Swift from Swift Canoe and Kayak, and we are here today to talk about this beautiful Cruiser 16.8, which a fellow Brad from Toronto has ordered, who is doing the Yukon River Quest, the 1,000-kilometer race this summer. And this has a whole bunch of custom outfitting on it. And Brad saw a video we did with Jeremy Vore from Red Leaf Design last year on how he outfitted his Cruiser 16.8. And he said, Bill, I gotta have it. So let's bring Jeremy in. And
Hi, Bill.
We're gonna talk all about this outfitting, Jeremy. Cheers.
Sounds great. Cheers, indeed.
What do you think?
I think it's spectacular. If you look at the boat that's mine that we looked at a couple of years ago, the effect of the outfitting is basically the same, but this is just a whole different level of refinement and finish and polish, and it's spectacular. You guys have done a great job.
Terry and Matt.
Terry and Matt have done a great
really
job.
Good job.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well,
yeah, it's just beautiful.
Let's start talking about different things. So the first thing is the yoke. We've developed a new pin system. This is a carbon yoke that only weighs 1.5 pounds,
Yep.
which is amazing. And Matt has made this new fitting, which is he does 3D printing. It's carbon reinforced plastic. It's riveted in. It's put in with methacrylate. Super, super strong. We were putting pins in our gunnels before, and people had a tendency to over-tighten them and crack the gunnels a little bit. This is going to be a much better system.
Yeah, and I love his brass inserts for the threading too. Just looks great.
The Yukon River Quest actually doesn't have portaging on it, though, does it?
It does not. Nope. It is a straight shot right down the Yukon River.
Now, Brad wants this boat, though, where either he or his son can go on a solo cruise through Algonquin as well.
Right. Yeah, it'll be perfect for that. Absolutely perfect.
We had a really good carbon seat base before.
You do.
But you brought us something extraordinary. Let's talk about this particular seat base itself right here.
Sure. So I have a good friend named Steve Landick, and people might know his name from the Ultimate Canoe Challenge back in the early 80s when they paddled 28,000 miles over 3 years with Verlin Kruger. He was Verlin Kruger's paddling partner.
28,000 miles.
28,000 miles. And Steve makes a seat that he calls, hopefully this is all right for the video, he calls it the big ass seat. And it's a larger seat pan like this. It deviates from the typical smaller racing seats. And the reason is that larger seat helps you spread your weight over more surface area. So it comes up into the top of your thighs, and it really lets you spread your weight out. So when you're in a seat for 12 or 14 or 15 hours a day, it really increases comfort by spreading that weight out. And you took his seat and you've modified it a bit. It's a little deeper, it's a little wider. It's absolutely fantastic. There's room for a nice pad in there. And having personally spent 35 hours and 27 minutes in one without getting up at all, I can tell you they're just exceptional for long distance paddling and spending long hours in the boat. So they're just fantastic, and you guys have done a beautiful version of it here.
So with your Cruiser 16.8, you've done some really cool paddling. We should let the folks know. You actually use it on Lake Superior.
I do, yeah. Yep,
you go out in big waves. You sent me a couple pictures. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, and it's important to note that it's never surf, right? Never take a canoe into surf, but it does wonderfully in the swells and in whitecaps, absolutely. Yeah.
And then you also used the Cruiser 16.8 2 years ago in the Alsabo River
Canoe Challenge, yeah, the Alsabo River Challenge 120. So same course as the marathon, which happens the next night, but it's for solo boats or people that aren't ready for the marathon for whatever reason. The marathon is tandem only. So I used it there, and at that point I had set the solo canoe record in the 16.8, and it was an exceptional boat for that purpose. It's comfortable. You don't ever get to the point where you don't want to be in the boat because the boat is just such a comfortable boat to be in. It handles well in the shallows. It handles wonderfully on the dams. So on the reservoirs behind the dams, it's exceptional there. And it also went through a few things. Got high centered on a stump in some of the tailwaters of one of the dams, and scraped on gravel and had a few near misses, but it just came through it perfectly. There was no damage. You can't even tell when you look at the bottom that anything happened. It's just a spectacular build. So So yeah, very,
So
very,
you
very
have a
happy.
lot of time in this shape, this
I
Cruiser 16.
do. At this point, I've probably got about 22 or 2,300 miles in a Cruiser 16.8.
Beautiful.
So yeah, it's a great boat, spectacular boat.
Excellent. Now, let's talk about this, Jeremy.
Yeah.
So Brad, this is standard that the seat adjusts.
Mhm.
He also ordered the adjustable height for
Right.
different conditions. The
Yep.
Yukon race has something called Five Finger Rapids with
Right.
really big swells, and I believe part of the race is on Lake Labarge.
It is, yeah. And Lake Labarge can have pretty significant swells. It's a big lake, so you can have pretty big swells coming at you. And getting the seat down is so important for stability. And what this seat really does well, and right now I think that's its lowest setting right now. Right?
Yeah, and it comes
Okay.
up.
So you can paddle in a higher position, which is more efficient and often more comfortable. But when the water gets rough, the magic of this seat is that you can pull these pins out and lower the seat when you're underway. So you can instantly get down. It's fine if you have to go to shore and put it back up to a higher position, but if you need to go from a less stable, more comfortable position in terms of seating position to a more stable position, it's really important that you can do that when you're underway. You don't want to have to go to shore first. You want to be able to just get down. So if you're on Labarge and the wind kicks up, he can pull those pins, get his seat down, stay on the water, and just keep cruising and pass all those people that had to go to shore to lower their seats.
There's nothing worse than being out paddling and being in a boat that you feel is too tippy.
Right.
You can't put the power on.
Right.
You're concentrating on survival
Yep. Yeah.
rather than efficiency and cruising through.
Absolutely. It's always stability before speed. You can't be fast if you can't put your power in the water, and you can't put your power in the water if you're not stable. So it's always stability before speed.
Now, this has something else that's really cool.
It does.
So Matt did a really good job on this. So this is a baler, and the balers are commercially available, but you push it down. And why does someone want a baler, Jeremy, for those folks that don't know?
Really good question. So if you're out and you get water splash in the boat from whitecaps or just hutting back and forth, you've gotten water in the boat, for any other reason, you've got a small amount of water in the boat, you pop this open and the water flowing under the hull creates a vacuum and it sucks the water right out of the boat for you. And with this handle, this is an Anderson baler, and normally it's just this bail, this wire bail. And it's hard to pull that wire bail up and push it down, and it's hard to retract that bail. And this handle just makes it so easy. And your guys in the Swift Boatworks shop there just did a great job of creating that carbon handle to make it so much easier.
Terry had Matt do this one.
Okay. Yep.
So look at the job he did on the bottom, and let's show the folks.
Look at that. And it's got this little flap so that if you slow down, hopefully it stops the water from coming back in if you're going too slow. And as you speed up, that door opens and the water just gets sucked right out.
And then when you
And
put
then you
it
can
on,
retract it. Yep.
there you go.
So
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, great system. And really common in marathon racing boats. Almost every marathon racing boat, both solo and tandem, has a baler in it for exactly that reason.
Now, my Cruiser 16.8 does not have a rudder,
Right.
but we are getting more and more people that want a rudder on the 16.8. These crazy guys that'll paddle in the surf, and not in the surf, but in the swells and
Big swells,
in
yeah.
Lake Superior, Georgian Bay,
Yeah.
and also people doing adventure racing. So
Right.
can you speak a little bit about why would you want a rudder?
Sure. So the important thing to remember about a rudder is it is just a tool. You can choose to use it or you can choose not to use it, but having it on the boat means it's in your toolbox, right? That's a pretty important thing. The reason you might want a rudder, if you're on rough water, let's say you're out in Lake Superior paddling in swells and you've got really heavy wind, you may want to hut based on fatigue, but the wind has you pinned on one side if you don't have a rudder because the boat is weathercocking into the wind. So with a rudder, you can control your directionality using the rudder and you can hut based on your fatigue. You might also want to be on the wrong side of the boat for the wind so that you can brace into whitecaps that are coming at you. And again, the rudder lets you do that because it takes care of your directional control. You'll notice that in those ultra distance races, the people that win almost always have rudders. And it's because they're able to we talked about stability before speed, they're able to put 100% of their power into forward paddling, and they don't have to worry about corrective strokes. So along with stability, you also want all of your power going into going forward, not into controlling the direction of the boat. Directional control is created by drag, right? So if you do a J stroke, you're adding drag to a stroke that corrects for the yaw. This allows you to just always paddle forward, and adds, 1.5, maybe 2% to the drag of the boat, but that's far better than doing J-strokes.
And I've done a bunch of marathon canoe racing.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than being in a boat where you have to go 18 strokes on one side and 2 on the
Right.
other.
Yeah.
You just get fatigued on the side that you're putting all the energy into.
Yeah, yep, I completely agree. So I tend to settle into about 11 strokes per side when I watch videos of myself. That's just what I settle
With
into.
the rudder.
With the rudder, I settle into about 11 per side, and it works really well.
And what if you didn't have the rudder? How many strokes a side? With a cruiser 16.8, do you think you'd get about?
7, maybe 8. And it would depend on where the wind was coming from and exactly what the dynamics were. It might be 8 or 10 on one side and 4 on the other. And when you're doing that for 40 hours, that imbalance can really add up. So having the rudder to even things out and be able to hut based on my fatigue, it's really important. So, but again, I can always pull it up and not use it.
So let's show the folks. Can you talk about just this rudder and the detail that Matt and Terry have done? And let me pull the rudder up.
Absolutely, sure.
To show the folks.
Yep, here. So this is a Smart Track rudder, so it's a commercially available rudder system. So all of the parts of the rudder itself, if you want to keep those parts in your repair kit, it's really easy to get those from Smart Track. You guys have added this gorgeous carbon piece on the back, so the rudder is mounted vertically. It doesn't mount diagonally on the stern of the boat there. It's a proper vertical setting. You've used the bracket mount system. Some of these rudders from Smart Track have a pintle mount or a bayonet mount, and that sets the rudder about 2 inches beyond the back of the boat, which is less efficient and creates more drag. With this type of mount, the rudder blade ends up tucked right behind the boat, which is great for drag and for efficiency. So it works out really well.
Let me lower it back
sure.
down now. We can talk about that.
Sure. So you can see that's sitting in the, I don't know what to call it, the
waterline.
The waterline confluent zone, we'll say, instead of being another 2 inches back. So this is a really efficient position for the rudder. Inside the boat and outside the boat, you guys have these gorgeous transition pieces where your rudder cable comes out of the boat. You make these out of forged carbon. You match them on the inside. You never see a ragged hole in the boat. Nothing's ever caulked. It's just these gorgeous transition pieces.
Matt's really proud of those pieces.
They're spectacular. They're amazing.
They're cool.
And then you also have all of the housing, all of the cables in the boat are housed, so you never have to worry about those cables getting caught. On this side, it's one of the rudder control cables. On this side, it's a rudder control and an uphaul cable. And that's fully housed all the way back to the cockpit, so you never have to worry about snagging it or getting a knot or a tangle in it. It's just really well done, really beautifully done. And then up in the front of the boat, where the rudder pedals are, this is a rudder pedal system that you don't typically find in canoes.
Can I interject for a second so
absolutely.
the folks know? Jeremy designed this pedal system, and we call it the Vor pedal system.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
you've
that.
done a great job with this. So please tell the folks why you make it with plates. And
Sure.
Because it's incredible.
Thank you. So typically what people did with kayak or with canoes is they put a kayak pedal system in. So those pedals were mounted all the way out to the side, and they either slid or they pivoted, but your feet were stuck on the outside of the boat. And if you really want to put drive into the boat and transmit forward energy into the boat, you need your feet closer together, you need your knees closer together, and you also might want to move your feet around on the foot bar so that, just for comfort, especially if you're in the boat for hours and hours at a time.
And having a big surface area.
Having a big surface area to push on, yeah. And so with this, the ball of your foot is down here at about the level of this bar. And that means that the ball of your foot always has something stable to push on. I can push as hard as I want there, and the pedal never moves. So if I've got my boat tracking straight, I can drive with the ball of my foot, and the pedal never moves. It never budges. If I want to turn, all I have to do is continue to push with the ball of my foot right there with every paddle stroke, but I just point a toe. And just like a gas pedal, the pedal moves, the rudder turns. You can see it just moves really simply back there, very simply and smoothly.
For those who haven't used a rudder system, if you want to turn left, you push in your left foot.
Just lightly on the left.
You want to turn right, you push in your right foot.
That's right. And really, it's mostly used for going straight. It's used for tracking, right? If you wanted to make a hairpin turn in this boat, you would actually be more efficient pulling the rudder up and just using the boat's natural carving ability to go around the turn. If you're wanting to go long distances straight, that's where the rudder really comes in handy. Fine-tuning course corrections, not big course corrections. So I wouldn't use the rudder to go around a slalom course, right? that would be more efficient using the paddle. But it just works wonderfully. It works really well, and you guys have nailed the implementation of this system.
I imagine if you're out in Superior and you're in really big swells, you want to be locked into the boat really well. And having the bigger plate with the bigger surface area really contributes to that.
It makes a really big difference. And I'm not sure what rudder system you used to use, but a lot of those kayak rudder systems slide. And that also prevents you from really locking into the boat because your rudder pedal system is moving. And so you can't lock in. This, with a stable and locked in foot bar, you can be locked into the boat all the time because you can always push with the balls of your feet and have positive contact, for sure.
Now, something that Brad saw in your video that he absolutely wanted that we haven't talked about yet, the access ports to the hatches. Let's talk about this, why someone would want this. You have them on your boat.
I do. So two reasons. One is there's waterproof storage there. You might as well use it for small things. I put repair kits and med kits and things like that in the boat, and I just keep those in these bulkheads. The other thing is, I know that if I'm in an adventure race and I damage this boat, chances are it's going to be the rudder that gets damaged or it's going to be the bow of the boat that gets damaged. In either case, I want to be able to get into this compartment both to quickly drain it of water if water's gotten into it and to be able to perform repairs inside the boat. So this rudder system has one bolt that's on top of the tank and there's one bolt that's inside the tank. And I want to be able to access that in order to repair it. And this is a brand new hatch, so it's a little tight, but now I can just quickly and easily get inside the boat. You guys have done a beautiful job of applying this with a caulk, so it's waterproof, and you've used these really slim and efficient and lightweight rivets.
They're really flush.
They're really flush. You don't have anything that's going to snag a dry bag or snag your hand. So it's just a really nice way to utilize that space and also have access for repairs.
So did you say first aid kit and repair kit?
Yeah, and I usually throw those in the front hatch because that helps counteract the weight of the rudder so that when I'm portaging, the boat still balances really well. Yep.
Beautiful.
So yeah, they work really well. It's just something that I've done, and it's an honor to have someone like Brad say that they'd like something similar to my boat.
Well, let's talk about something else Brad wanted.
Okay, sounds good.
This is something that your good friend Steve Landick conceptualized also. So you, in the video, and Brad even referenced it, you called it the old man's bar.
I do. It's the old man handle. Steve uses it for a couple of things. One is getting in and out of the boat quickly. So you can grab this to stand up or sit down very, very quickly. You can use it to stand up and scout a rapid before you sit down, or you can use it to jump out of the boat at a portage. But the thing that we really use it for the most is it's a great spot to attach a GPS. Or other, navigational assistance aids. So it's just a great place to attach those items. It's a 1-inch round bar, and so anything that goes onto a cycling handlebar will also fit on this assist bar. Assist bar is a much better marketing term than old man handle, so I believe you call it the assist bar.
Is the carbon assist bar.
The carbon assist bar. But it's a great tool as well, and you'll see later when we do some outfitting on this boat, we've left a hole or a flap in Brad's spray deck so that he can still access his GPS even when the spray deck is on. You
have an assist bar.
I do.
And what do you mount on it?
Oh, I should have brought it so that you could see it. I have on the back of my phone, I have a case from Peak Designs, and Peak makes this phone case that has this little square clip in the back of it, and they make something that attaches to the bar, so my phone just clips on, and you can actually rotate it from horizontal to vertical. So I often mount my phone there, but I also mount my GPS there when I'm racing.
And what type of GPS do you use?
So I use either an eTrex 22X. Those are great because you can change the batteries on the fly, but I also use a Garmin GPS Map 66i, which has satellite tracking built into it. That has to be recharged with a USB cable, but they both fit on here really well. They both work quite well.
I know a bunch of people use the Garmin that go on canoe trips because they can communicate to the outside world when they get in areas where there's no cell phone service.
Yep, works wonderfully, and it just goes right on this bar. The Garmin mounts mount there with no trouble at all.
So this boat is red.
It is.
Red Leaf Designs.
Red Leaf Designs. It needs our logo on the bottom. We missed that for Brad. We should have thrown a big leaf right there. But yeah, it's just a beautiful boat. This is Kevlar Fusion, right?
Yes, this is Kevlar Fusion.
Just a gorgeous boat. Absolutely beautiful.
So Jeremy, Swift, our team, Matt and Terry, everyone that works here really wants to thank you for helping us conceptualize all these, and now we've gotten to the point where we've got it down on a really good production basis.
Yep.
We can make boats like this and many of our models for people. So there's some really cool outfitting that you've brought along that Brad also wants in this boat. So why don't we show the folks the other goodies?
Sounds great. We'll get started on that. Wonderful.
All right. And Scott is going to put a link in the description of the video to the Cruiser 16.8 Red Leaf outfitting video we did last year that you can compare it with. And let's have some fun right now.
Okay, sounds good. Let's make some holes.
All right.
Sounds good.